Hello, good evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, coming to you live from our studio here at Adesawe Kanda in Accra. It is coming to you from our studio and we're also streaming on live on our website 3news.com and on Facebook and on YouTube. Coming up this evening, Lands Minister condemns attack on NAIMOS task force as he calls for swift investigation after meeting Interior Minister and the Speaker of Parliament. Also coming up, Office of Special Prosecutor arrests the Ghana Revenue Authority acting head of legal for suspected corruption and corruption-related offences and obstruction of justice in the SML Revenue Assurance contract. And later, one of the two immigration officers who were attacked in an ambush at Timpani in the Upper East region has died. We have the very latest regarding this particular development. Do be a part of the show. Let's hear from you on the many stories we have for you for the next 1 hour. We have business and sports also at the tail end of this bulletin. Before that, though, let's bring you the news summaries.
Martin, and in a summary, the Menchia Palace has advised the family of the late high life icon Charles Kwejofosu, known in showbiz as Daddy Lumba, to call a truce before Friday, November 7, 2025. The directive follows the invocation of the Asantehene's Great Oath, also known as Ntam Kesye. The elder sister of Lumba, Ernestine Fosu, also known as Akosua Bempama, invoked the Great Oath on his family's head. It was penning Kofi Usu after Friday's court hearing. Now, this move further complicated the late Lumba's final funeral rite, and after a hearing on Monday, the Judicial Council of the Menchia Palace advised the family to settle the matter amicably before Friday. Hearing was held at the Samahene Chief's Palace at Menchia. The Court of Appeal has dismissed an application by lawyers representing former National Signals Bureau Director Kwabena Edu-Boahene and his wife, seeking to overturn a High Court decision that refused the application for further disclosures from the Attorney General. The defense lawyers, led by Samuel Etechia, had filed a motion in July seeking the full disclosures of national security operational accounts from 1992 to date. He argued that the AG has selectively disclosed matters bordering on national security to advance their case while omitting crucial details which necessitated their motion. However, Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Ramsai opposed the motion, citing its irrelevance to the court charges against the former director and his co-accused. Away from that is some education story. The Minister for Education, Haruna Idrisu, has announced plans to amend the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission GTEC Act 2020 Act 1023 to extend the deadline for tertiary institutions to acquire a presidential charter. The move comes after GTEC in February 2024 gave a 6-month ultimatum to all universities to get chartered or face possible closure, a directive that sparked intense public debate over the quality of certificates awarded by unchartered institutions and the high cost of meeting the requirement. Finally, the government has announced plans to reduce the 1,070 cedis registration fee charged to courier operators in a move aimed at easing the financial burden on players in the sector and boosting compliance with industry regulations. The decision follows extensive consultations with stakeholders after the suspension of enforcement activities by the Courier Services Regulatory Commission earlier this year. Remind you once again that all this is on our website, 3news.com. Do well to visit there. Martin, over to you.
Thank you very much. Let's settle for the details of the stories. Now, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boa, has condemned the attack on members of the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NAIMOS, during an operation at Broni Krom near Hwidiem in the Ahafo region. A statement from the ministry said Mr. Bua has held separate meetings with the Speaker of Parliament and the Minister for the Interior to ensure swift and rigorous investigations into the incident, which occurred on Saturday, November 1, 2025. The ministry says the move underscores government's commitment to holding accountable all individuals who aid, support, or front illegal mining activities and those who obstruct law enforcement officers in the line of duty. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, the IGP Christian Tete-Yohonu, has directed the Criminal Investigations Department headquarters to take over the case. According to reports, the NAIMOS team, while on an anti-galamsey operation near Broni Krom, came under attack from a group allegedly cited by the Member of Parliament. The group was allegedly incited by the Member of Parliament for Asutifi North, Ebenezer Kweku Ado. The MP has since been invited to assist investigations. Preliminary findings show that the team had arrested several suspects and seized a pistol, ammunition, and 2 unregistered vehicles before a mob besieged the Hwidiam police station, vandalizing vehicles and clashing with officers. Security reinforcement from the Ahafo Regional Police Command and the military later restored calm with the support of the Zongo Chief of Hwidiam, who helped mediate the situation. In a statement, the Ghana Police Service condemned the attack and warned against interference with law enforcement operations. It added that a special operation is underway to track down and arrest all those involved. Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for Asutifi North, Ebenezer Kweku Ado, has clarified his role in the recent confrontation between residents of Hwidiam and members of the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NAIMOS, a task force in the Ahafo region. It follows accusations that the Member of Parliament had incited a mob that attacked the NAIMOS team, freed arrested illegal miners, and vandalized vehicles in the Hwidiam police station. In a statement issued today, the MP described the incident as an unfortunate misunderstanding, saying his actions were aimed at de-escalating tensions rather than interfering with law enforcement operations. Let's get the full specifics of what the Member of Parliament had in his statement. Christabel will take us through it. Christabel?
Yes, Martin, and this statement is titled "To the Good People of Asutifi North and the General Public." Well, it says, "I am compelled to address the recent unfortunate incidents between some residents of Asutifi South and the military task force deployed on national assignments," and he's referring to NAIMOS. Now, he has chronologically giving us what transpired, and it says, on the 1st of November 2025, whilst en route to a funeral in the Asutifi South constituency, I inquired from Honorable Collins Dauda, the MP for Asutifi South constituency, whether he was available so we could move together. Honorable Dauda indicated that he's currently not in the country, so I could represent him. Now, upon reaching Hwidiam, I realized there was tension in town, so I inquired and was told there was a military operations going on at a gold extraction site. I quickly called back Honorable Dauda to inform him of the development. He asked me to go to the site to enable him to speak with the team to ascertain what was going on, because one of the assembly members who he sent wasn't spoke by the military team. Now, upon reaching the site with my constituency vice chairman and driver, I introduced myself to the leader and asked that he speaks to the person on the phone. Having arrived at the place, I saw some youth at the side while other gradually massed up. The only advice I could give was for us to move to the police station to officially make a statement and subsequently hand over items and suspects to the police to calm tensions. Upon reaching the police station, it was seen that the major road had been blocked, preventing vehicular movement. Together with the military regional police crime officer, NIB operatives, Kenyasi police commander, we all remained in the police charge office while statements were being taken. Now, according to the MP, he says he went further to call in the Zongo Chief of Hwidiam to assist in calming the situation, and he came. Now, having finalized the handing over of items to the regional crime officer, the Zongo Chief volunteered to pick the military officers into his Toyota vehicle because the pickup of the military had been tampered with. Now, it continues to say that the Toyota vehicle of the Zongo Chief had its glasses smashed at the back. By then, I had left to attend some other funerals in some other cities that he mentioned. Now, he says, I I wish to state that under no circumstance will I incite the youth against security officers and any government-planned agenda. As a responsible lawmaker, I offered my support to ensure there is calmness in the area and will always work together with every security agency to maintain law and order. Continues to say that it is quite unfortunate that the police in their sitrep failed to acknowledge my contribution towards ensuring the calmness prevails. I urge the public to disregard the false narratives aimed at tarnishing my reputation and undermining what I am doing. Well, it goes on and on and on to chronologically say this is what happened, and he's not involved in any of this matter.
All right, thank you very much. So details of that is also on our website, 3news.com, and you can also be a part of the general or the wider conversation of how state institutions can be given the permission to do their work. Well, do they even need the permission of people in and around Galamsey-prone areas? And usually, how do some of these operations actually commence? Is it that the NAIMOS operation team just pick an area where they have intel that Galamsey is ongoing, they arrive and then start, delivering what they have to do, as in start looking for the individuals, the perpetrators, and arresting key suspects that they know may be doing the wrong thing? Or they initially give prior notice to the people to hold their operations, and then later, when they are all are on the same page and agree, before they commence their operation as NAIMOS? How does all of this play out? It'll be good to have that kind of information to at least give us a better understanding of what they do when they do arrive at their location. So let's go on the phone lines now and speak to one of the critical voices advocating for the issues of Galamsey to be brought to an abrupt halt. Engineer Ken Asiedu on this development. Engineer, good evening to you. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon.
Right. It's evening in Ghana. We are happy that you could make time to speak to us. But to start with, I'm sure you've heard reports of the issue of NAIMOS operatives or operations that came to an abrupt halt because residents of Hwidiem and its environs decided to deal with them, for lack of a better expression. How does this come to you on the back of the fact that there is a clarion call for all of us to put our hands to the deck to stop this Galamsey menace?
Well, it's really, really, really unfortunate. And it is important that the state demonstrates to everybody that it is the state is in charge of security, and nobody should be able to come when the state is performing its lawful duties. So this is really unfortunate. It is despicable, and it ought to be dealt with all the force that is required. Fortunately, I have seen the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources issue a statement, and it is important that that is followed through, and we investigate and find out anybody who is involved. All those people who were arrested by NAIMOS, who have been set free, all the exhibits that were taken by NAIMOS that people have taken ought to be retrieved, and we need to ensure that anybody who is involved in it faces the full rigors of the law. And we need to throw Act 995 at everybody who is involved in this. And it's important that we tell the people that when the state is trying to save them from such calamities, they should not also be allowing themselves to be used to attack state actors who are doing their lawful things. This is some of the reasons why for us, as the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, we believe the state of emergency is still important. If we had a state of emergency, who would dare to do these things that are being done? So it is important that we get to the bottom of it.
Right.
And I'm happy, as I said, that the minister, has engaged and has issued a statement so far as this is concerned. The coalition will be issuing a statement in the coming hours, and we also will be petitioning the police who have the lawful duty of ensuring that anybody who breaks the law is dealt with. Make sure that the IGP also deals with this as ought to be dealt with.
There are reports that this particular incident had the involvement of a member of parliament for the area. He has come out with a statement to clarify or give his side of the story of the accusation. But what kind of understanding do you have, engineer, that when these kinds of operations are being undertaken, how does it play out? Is it that for instance, the NAIMOS security force or team, when they get there, they just start operating? Anybody found in and around the catchment area where they are operating is arrested, or they give prior notice to, for instance, the chief of the area or key decision makers that we are coming to undertake such an operation, so that whenever there is these kinds of confrontations, they would have local actors helping them in terms of assistance or support?
Well, you see, in the way these acts are done, and the fact that you need surprise in all of this, we should not be expecting the team boss who is to be giving everybody any. Can you hear me?
Yes, the line is a bit jumpy, but it's not too clear. We can hear you, but there are breaks in your submission. So maybe we can give it a try, and I'm sure we can manage.
Okay, so I was saying that in these operations, surprise is important, intelligence is important. So we cannot be expecting that everybody would be informed so far as these operations are concerned. And you all know, even you and I as citizens, we also have a duty to even carry out citizens' arrest. So when NAIMOS is on an operation and then they come across people who are mining close to a road, and we know that our law, so far as mining is concerned, there cannot be concessions that are granted close to roads. Anybody who is involved in this ought to be arrested. And if anybody thinks that the people who have been arrested have a case to answer, the thing to do is, and again, note that the NAIMOS team were taking these people to the police station. So how dare anybody attack a police station? If you think that anything is not being done well, the rule of law is what you apply. So you cannot be rallying people to come attack people who are conducting their lawful duties. Even if you think that things have not gone right, there are lawful procedures that you take. And that is not attacking these military and police people. This is not, getting a mob. If it was not for the discipline of these military people, and they had decided to use the weapons that lawfully have been given to them to defend themselves, we will be speaking a different language at this time.
Certainly.
So it is important that we need to also educate ourselves as citizens that we should not be allowing ourselves to be used in these situations. And it is important that the state would demonstrate with all the powers that are at their disposal, that it does not matter whether you are 1,000 or 20,000 people. When you are wrong, the state will deal with you.
Right.
So it is important that in this particular situation, if the MP says he was right, we should take the case through the legal procedures, and then he should then prove his case there. But what we are seeing is not the thing to do. When all of us are calling that, this environmental crimes are damaging to all of us as a people.
Right. Engineer, two final questions that you can take leave of us. We know, for instance, that there are arguments that these campaigns seem to be centralized in the capital city, and then there is no galamsey in Accra technically. However, in areas where they are very prone, in the forest reserves, hardly do some of the campaign activities and the clarion calls and the chanting get to them. So by the time the security agencies or those state actors empowered to ensure that these illegalities brought to a halt or stopped, by the time they get there, they face a group of people who probably do not know that from the center of the country or from the capital of the country through government, civil society, etc., we are all asking for galamsey or illegal mining to stop. Do you think that right from the onset we have carried every Ghanaian along, or we have carried the most critical people who are those living in the catchment area most often? Have we carried all of them along to align to this national fight?
Well, I think that you would be living under a stone if you do not know that right from 2017, the points on the illegality and the ills of galamsey is an illegality and needs to be dealt with. I agree with you that we need to find a way of carrying all of us, along with this. Who does not know that illegal drugs is still criminal? But you would find people who would still be able to do it. Who does not know that prostitution is illegal? You would find people who would want to do this. The lure of gold, is the thing that attracts a lot of people. And so we see some of them, do videos and say that, well, you say this is what we should not do, we are doing it, and all of that, give us jobs and all of that. So we can talk about the fact that we need to do a lot of education and educate people about the effect of some of these things on they themselves. But it does not excuse anybody who engages in these mob actions to say that they did not know that the state says this is wrong. You see people who are dressed as military officers. You see people who are dressed as police officers. And normally when these things happen, there are people who are behind it. You remember the situation of Anabisu, who had gone into one of these places. You might argue that it's not her duty to do it. But it was a policeman who organized the mob, to attack her.
Right.
And so, these things, when they are happening, we need to make sure, as the president said, himself, we need to deal with the kingpin. So we need to look at the root cause and see who are the people who are mobilizing these people to do this and make sure we deal with them. And that is not to say that if you allow yourself, to be used in such a case, you also don't have a case to answer.
Right. Well said. And my final question, so, we want to set a certain precedent. What kind of action should we be expecting from this Hwidium development where at the end, some action should be taken to be the blueprint to every other community that when these officials come and you misbehave towards them, these are the laid down laws that will deal with you. What should we expect? What do civil society institutions like yourself and the general Ghanaian groups who are hoping that galamsey is stopped completely, what should we expect as investigations have commenced into this unfortunate development?
Well, it is important that the state demonstrate to all of us that impunity would not be allowed, that the state is strong and is not weak and it's able to act. That ought to be done very quickly. And also it would then demonstrate to anybody who wants to do this that when you do this, there are repercussions. So we would be expecting that the rule of law would be applied, that it will not matter whose ass is God. Whether you are a member of parliament, you are a chief, anybody who is involved in this, we need to throw the book at them. And we need to also, that if we don't deal with this issue very decisively, where the military have, been very considerate in using force when they were attacked, if we don't demonstrate, then the next time the military they will use the commensurate force And when that happens, we might not have the situation that we have in where it's only a few of their vehicles and things that have been attacked. Lives will be lost. So it's important that we deal with this very decisively and punish everybody who is involved. This issue of Galamsey, we all know is an existential threat. And if you allow situations like this to go, then it would give them the impetus to think that they can come against the state and then they can act against lawful authority. We need to demonstrate to them that this is not a banana republic and it's not might that is superior, but it's the laws of this country that is superior, and anybody who's found culpable will be punished according to the rule of law.
Most grateful for your time and thoughts as always, Engineer Ken Ashigbe. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Ken Ashigbe is the convener of the Ghana Coalition Against Illegal Mining and has been sharing his thoughts on this unfortunate incident that happened over the weekend at Hwidiam. And like we indicated, the Ghana Police Service issued a statement on this development. They've dispatched a CID team to go and assist with investigations. But what do you also make of this development and some of the responses we got from Engineer Ken Ashigbe? And you listening to us, how can you also support in the fight against illegal mining across the country, which has left many of our water bodies destroyed and our forest reserves, totally destroyed? We will be happy to hear from you on our social media pages, especially on Facebook and on YouTube. Hot Edition is trending. Just look for 3FM 92.7 there and send your messages to us. So let's get the details of the statement from the Ghana Police Service, and Christabel will give it to us.
His lawyers.
Right. So, just a point of correction. So we indicated that the Member of Parliament who was allegedly involved on the one that incited the youth to go and attack the NAIMOS team had earlier been invited by the Ghana Police Service to assist with investigations. So we actually had information that he was on his way to meet the police CID, but later that meeting was suspended or called off. However, his lawyers have released a statement that regarding what role he must have played or his involvement in the entire saga. So let's listen to the reaction from lawyers of the Member of Parliament.
Well, his lawyers have directed this release to the Inspector General of Police, and it says, we act for Honorable Ebenezer Kwekuado, who is a Member of Parliament for Asiedu-Dartey North, and it says, we acknowledge the press release issued on 3rd November 2025 regarding the incident at Hwidiam and the indication that our client has been invited to assist with ongoing investigation. Our client reiterates his unwavering commitment to the rule of law, public order, and the peace and security of his constituents, adjoining communities, and the country as a whole. He categorically denies any act or omission amounting to misconduct or obstruction of police duties. His conduct on the material day was solely motivated by the desire to calm tensions and prevent a possible breakdown of public order. Now, in keeping with respect for his lawful procedure and his willingness to support police investigation, our client will present himself at the CID headquarters, and it says we respectfully request that all further communications in respect of this matter be directed to our office. And it was signed by Kwesi Jemfi Boedu Esquire. He is a lawyer for the Honorable Ebenezer Kwekuado, who is the MP for Asiedu-Dartey North.
Thank you for the details of the statement coming in from the legal counsel of the Member of Parliament who has been accused of involving himself in this development. And so in the coming days, as we've told you, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources has taken the issue quite seriously. He's already spoken to the Speaker of Parliament about it. He has also engaged the Minister of Interior so they can collaborate and find an active way of dealing with this from all fronts. So in the coming days, we will definitely be updating you on any latest information that may arise out of this. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're turning our attention to some other stories now, and the Office of the Special Prosecutor has arrested Freeman Saba, the acting head of legal affairs of the Ghana Revenue Authority, over alleged corruption and obstruction of justice linked to the controversial Ghana Revenue Authority and Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited (SML) revenue assurance contract. In a statement released earlier today, the OSP said that Mr. Saba is under investigation for suspected corruption-related offenses and interfering in the ongoing probe into the SML deal. The contract between the Ghana Revenue Authority and the SML Ghana, which covers revenue assurance in the petroleum and other sectors, has faced intense public scrutiny over alleged inflated costs and procurement breaches. The OSP says its investigation, which also targets several former senior officials of the Ghana Revenue Authority and the Finance Ministry, has uncovered evidence of corruption, abuse of office, and violation of procurement laws. Prosecution of key individuals, including former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta and former Ghana Revenue Authority Commissioner General, are expected to begin by the end of this month. And you would recall that about 24 hours after the Special Prosecutor addressed the nation and gave updates of what investigations had gone on and named 6 individuals who are standing trial at the moment or whom he would be prosecuting in court, the President of the Republic, through his secretary, released a statement asking the Finance Ministry to cancel all contracts with SML. Every state contract that either Ghana Revenue Authority or any other state institution has with SML, the president is asking that all those contracts be terminated. So it tells you that it is still a very active case. A lot more developments are coming as a result of it. And in the coming days, again, we would update you. And especially now that we are told that the lawyer or the legal mind in question has also been picked up or invited or arrested by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, we'll try and see whether we can glean into what role he actually played in suspending all deals or working on the deals between the SML and the Ghana Revenue Authority. Stay with us, and we would update you as and when we do get them. We're going on to some other stories this evening. And earlier, we also reported about an attack at Nagani in the Timpani district of the Upper East region that left 2 immigration officers critically injured. The latest information reaching us indicates that one of the officers has sadly died from gunshot wounds he sustained during the ambush. The officers were attacked late Sunday night on the 2nd of November while returning from night duty on a motorbike. They reportedly came under fire from unknown assailants who had laid an ambush along the route. The surviving officer remains in critical condition in the Upper East Regional Hospital in Bolgatanga. In the second such attack, we are told also that an immigration personnel in less than a month, that is the 3rd of October, was also attacked. Gunmen opened fire on the officers at the Bintri inland checkpoint in the northeast region, killing one and injuring another. The police issued a statement confirming the death of one of the 2 immigration officers and the fact that they have also dispatched a team there to assist with investigation. Let's get details of the statement from the Ghana Police Service. Christabel has that for us.
Yes, in the statement, the Upper East Regional Police Command is on a manhunt for unknown assailants who shot 2 immigration officers on Sunday, 2nd November 2025. Well, if you go on our Facebook page and our YouTube page right now, we're displaying that statement now. And it says that the command is on a manhunt for unknown assailants who shot 2 immigration officers on Sunday, 2nd November 2025 at about 10 p.m. in Nagani, Bosionde, in Garu, Timpani. The unknown gunmen shot 2 immigration officers at Nagani in Garu, Timpani while they were returning to base after foot patrols. The bandits made away with 2 AK-47 rifles belonging to the immigration officers. The 2 wounded officers were rushed to the Bolgatanga Regional Hospital for treatment. Sadly, one of the officers was pronounced dead by the medical officer. The Inspector General has dispatched a team of investigators and intelligence officers to Timpani to support the investigation. The command wishes to assure the general public that thorough investigation is underway to unravel the crime and bring perpetrators to justice. This was signed by the Public Relations Officer of the Upper East Regional Police Command, that's Chief Inspector Abdul Rahman Sumaila.
Right. And those are the details captured in the statement regarding this unfortunate development in Nagani. Let's go to the phone lines now and engage Mukhtar, who is a security analyst himself and has been following this issue since it broke over the weekend. Thank you so much for your time, sir. To start with, this is the second such attack on immigration service personnel under just a month. From your security perspective, what does this tell us about the evolving threat environment in and around the border areas of northern Ghana?
Well, what we're looking at is a very serious case of security concern. It's a development that worries all of us. If you look at the context, as you read out, especially the context in which we are operating now, we are within an environment within the Sahel that is pervasively engulfed in violent extremism, a typology of insecurity that is so complex that state actors are significantly challenged in dealing with that, security challenge. And so we are very, very concerned, especially with the fact that ever since we started having this, episodes of attacks in the area, we have not been able in any way to uncover the identities of the involved and their motivations for what they are doing. And if you remember, just not too long ago, in October, we had attacks in the area where the National Health Insurance Authority's, office in the area was attacked, killing 4 people eventually, including the chief of the area, as well as the head teacher of one of the basic schools in the area. And this was, in addition to several other episodes of attacks in the area. And yet, we haven't been able to uncover the identities and the motivations for that. If you notice the area we are talking about, the location of this, the high level or the proximity of the area to the theater of violence in the Sahel, in terms of Burkina Faso as well as the northern Togo, Dapon is not far away from the area. All of this raises concerns about the possibility that there could be elements who have infiltrated our system and seeking to engage in the same typology of violence. And so we are very worried about it, but we are very also intentional about not creating alarm in the area or exaggerating what it is when it comes to the threat that we're looking at. And so it's a very complex situation for all of us.
And the way you paint the picture gives hope and concern at the same time, where you say our security officers are actually aware of how the Sahel region, the proximity or the closeness of some of these areas to, these upper parts of Ghana, which has in the last few years recorded extreme activities. But are you confident that our security agencies are on top of these matters? Would they be able to give the adequate protection and security required to ensure that our border communities are safe, so these elements from within the Sahel region cannot infiltrate or trickle into our country?
Look, I think this goes beyond the idea of confidence in our security or lack of confidence in our security. If you look at the threat that we under consideration, it's a very, very complex threat. If we look at it from both internal and external sources, it gives you the sense that we need more than just expressing confidence or, trust in our security agencies. The entire northern part of coastal states, which includes where we are talking about at the moment, in our analysis, is considered to be an area under siege by violent extremism and different forms of, security threats. And in the manner or on a scale that appears to defy what security preparation is about, irrespective of how adequate it may seem. And so we need to go beyond that and look at what kind of measures can we mobilize within the state as well as non-state populations to ensure that we're building resilience against the possible exploitation of our space by extremist groups. If you go back a couple of years back in 2022, for the first time in our history, the National Security Ministry gave an alert, a memo that suggested that there are potential, planned attacks in the northern part of the country. And it mentioned specific places, and that includes where we are talking about at the moment. And so this threat is not new. It's only manifested in ways that alarms all of us because it communicates nearness of what it is that we've been fearing all along. And it's important that we go beyond just focusing on state actors to include general national awareness and preparedness to prevent, exploitation of our space by extremist groups. Why is it that up to this point, we haven't seen enough, local population action in terms of volunteering information regarding who possibly these individuals could be. We need to be working on that because security actors cannot be everywhere, and irrespective of how prepared they are, they often are, overwhelmed by the situation or defied by the current reality of extremist threats.
Mukhtar, we are grateful for your time this evening. Thank you for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
You had Mukhtar Mumuni Mukhtar, who is the Executive Director of the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism, giving us his perspective on what the security agencies need to do to douse these concerns coming from the northern part of the country following the death of one immigration officer. Two of them were attacked while returning from their operational duties. They were on a motorbike, they were attacked. One has survived and is in the hospital still recovering. The other, unfortunately, passed in the last few hours. We are told that the security police officers have been deployed to assist with investigation. It's even more concerning because two of their AK-47 rifles are missing, and that could end up in the hands of wrong individuals, for which reason the state is paying particular attention to this development, but would update you subsequently when we do get them. This is still 3FM 92.7. Before we go into business and sports, let's bring you some more stories.
The Ghana Journalists Association, GRA, has expressed deep disappointment over the Attorney General's decision to discontinue the prosecution of a suspect in the 2019 murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Hussein Swale. According to President of the Association, Albert Jumpo, the unfortunate development is a dark chapter in the country's media history, calling on the Attorney General and Police CID to provide further clarity.
The GRA has received with deep concern and utter disappointment the news that the Medina District Court on October 14, 2025, discharged a suspect in the murder case of investigative journalist Ahmed Hussein Swale, following the decision of the Attorney General's Department to discontinue the prosecution. This development coming several years after the cold-blooded murder of Ahmed Swale in January 2019 raises serious questions about the commitment and capacity of the state to pursue justice for slain journalists and protect press freedom in Ghana. The GRA finds it extremely worrying that after such a heinous crime that shocked the nation and the international media community, justice continues to elude the family of Ahmed Swale and the entire media fraternity. The inability of the state to bring the perpetrators of this crime to book after nearly 7 years represents a grave blot on Ghana's record as a democracy that prides itself on the rule of law and freedom of expression. Why has the Attorney General Department or the police discontinued the case after years of investigation and public resources committed to pursuing justice? On what basis did the prosecutor or the police file the nollie prosecutor to enable the district court to free or discharge the suspect? What are the findings of the investigations conducted by the Ghana Police Service, and why have this not led to credible prosecutions? What is the current status of the investigations into the murder of Ahmed Swale, and what steps are being taken to bring the real perpetrators to justice? Why has there been limited transparency and public communication on the progress of the case? The discharge of a suspect without closure or credible explanation risks deepening public distrust in the justice system and may embolden those who target journalists with impunity. It also sends a dangerous signal that crimes against journalists can go unpunished.
You just heard that the voice of the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Albert Jumfo. We'll be back after this with Business with Bismarck Awusa. Stay with us.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Awusa. Coming up tonight, fuel prices drop sharply at pumps as cedi strengthens and global crude prices fall. Star Oil among others lead reductions. This story and others lined up for you, please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. Some oil marketing companies, OMCs, have begun slashing fuel prices at the pumps in line with industry forecasts of a significant drop from November 1, 2025. Market leader Star Oil and Zen Petroleum are among the first to implement reductions, citing lower global crude prices and a stronger cedi. The following 3 Business News Desk report has the details.
Market leader Star Oil is now selling a litre of petrol at 11 cedis 59 pesos, down from 12 cedis 77 pesos, while diesel has dropped to 12 cedis 47 pesos. Another major player, Zen Petroleum, has also reduced its prices. Petrol now sells at 11 cedis 97 pesos per litre and diesel at 12 cedis 17 pesos. Sources say Zen's new prices may remain unchanged for at least a week before any review. The Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies had earlier projected fuel prices could fall by up to 8% per litre, driven by a drop in global crude prices and the cedi's sharp appreciation in October. Crude oil prices slipped to a 5-month low of $62.82 per barrel, while the cedi gained over 11% against the US dollar, its strongest performance in months. If the trend continues, industry analysts say that latest reductions could mark the biggest drop in fuel prices so far in 2025.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report. Moving on, the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, FABAG, has issued an urgent appeal to the Minister of Finance calling for a comprehensive overhaul of the tax and regulatory environment in the upcoming 2026 National Budget Statement to save local industry and combat smuggling. Executive Chairman of FABAG, Reverend John Awuni, argues that the cumulative burden of taxes, including the COVID-19 levy, multiple excise duties, and high regulatory fees, has severely compromised the industry's competitiveness.
We are very much hopeful that the budget will be generally business friendly. We will generally remove nuisance taxes such as the excise tax on fruit juices that we have complained over and over that is having negative effect on the industry. It will generally cancel the container fumigation levies that is very, very unnecessary and just an addition to the cost of doing business. And then also ensure that new taxes are not introduced, such as producer responsibility tax, and cancel out the COVID-19 levy. The food and beverage sector is hopeful that the Minister of Finance will introduce targeted tax reliefs for the local producers, especially the small and medium-scale enterprises, so as to encourage investment. We are also hoping that this budget will not only come out with policies that will lead to the exchange rate being low, but the exchange rate being very, very stable.
And that was Executive Chairman of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, FABAG, Reverend John Awuni, on his outfit's expectations ahead of the 2026 budget. Before we go, the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISE, is urging government to adopt a more sustainable approach to borrowing and ensure that funds sourced through debt are channeled into productive sectors of the economy. This comes after the Institute revealed that a significant portion of Ghana's borrowed funds in recent years has been used to service interest payments and recurrent expenditure rather than capital investments.
The Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research has raised concerns over Ghana's debt management practices, revealing that most borrowed funds in recent years have gone into paying interest and recurrent spending instead of productive capital investment. According to ISA, Ghana's debt profile has not supported long-term economic growth, with the country issuing about $11 billion in Eurobonds between 2017 and 2022 compared to $4.5 billion in the 6-year prior. The Institute is therefore calling on government to borrow responsibly and as much as possible at concessional rates. It also wants Public Interest and Accountability Committee resource to provide effective oversight of government borrowing to ensure transparency and accountability. ISA further recommends that every dollar borrowed should be invested in productivity ventures such as education and health, capable of yielding sustained returns and improving national productivity.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report, bringing us to the end of the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck. Also, for more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Billy Shen is here for sports. Please stay.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen. Let's start off from the local scene where match day 8 came to an end with the likes of Hartlefolk and Asante Kotoko clinching victories, while Aduana FC moved on top of the table ahead of Mediama SC. My colleague Mutala Yakubu sums up what happened exactly on match day 8.
Premier League has come to a closure with some interesting results. It started on Friday, where we had Bichim United drawing goalless with Nations FC, then Hoho United at home to Mediama, who were then the league leaders before that game. It ended 1-1 at the Hoho Sports Stadium. Pressure on coach Tijani for not getting a win at home. At the Baba Yara Sports Stadium, Asante Kotoko returned to the domestic front after their exit from the CAF Confederation Cup, this time beating Karela by 4-2, and midfielder Hubert Jou scoring some incredibly sublime goals for the Porcupine Warriors. And this game actually gives them a lot of confidence going into match week 9, which they will take on Hartlefolk. For Hartlefolk themselves, they traveled all the way to face Baseke Holy Stars and got a very, very important 2-1 win to also boost their confidence ahead of the big game against Asante Kotoko. The likes of Dreams FC also picked up wins in their game. Heart of Lions went all the way to Swedru, managed to get a point. They drew 1-1 with All Blacks. So it's been a good weekend, and this sets us up very well for match day 9. The biggest game in there will be Heart of Oak Asante Kotoko. It's a super clash.
That was a wrap by my colleague Mutala Yakubu. To some other stories, FIFPro have released their world best 11 as voted for by the players. It's basically a 3-4-3 formation with Gianluigi Donnarumma in goal, former PSG goalkeeper, current Manchester City goalkeeper, Ashraf Hakimi, Virgil van Dijk, and Nuno Mendes in defense. In midfield, we have Cole Palmer, Jude Bellingham, Pedri, and Vitinha, and in attack we have Lamine Yamal, Kylian Mbappe, and the current Ballon d'Or holder Ousmane Dembele. So this is the FIFA or the FIFPro World 11 as voted for by all the players. Now, tomorrow, that is Tuesday, there's the Champions League that returns, and here are some of the fixtures for you. Napoli will be facing Eintracht Frankfurt, Slavia Prague will face Arsenal, Atletico Madrid will face Royal Union Saint-Gilloise, we have Bodo Glimt facing Monaco, Juventus facing Sporting CP, Liverpool versus Real Madrid, which is the biggest fixture in this current lineup of fixtures, and here is what Anslot had to say ahead of that Real Madrid match.
For me, it's hard to compare them this game with last season. I just said it already, because last season when they played here, they had many injuries, and now they haven't, and they kept a lot of the team the same. I see a lot of similarities between last season. Xavi is doing an incredible job at Madrid, but Carlo Ancelotti did the same. He won a lot. They've added a few new players, so that can always influence playing style maybe a little, but I saw last season a very good Real Madrid, and I see that now as well. So they've always been in this competition a big force. I think 15 times semi-finals in the last, I don't even know how many semi-finals or more they've played in the last few years. So very good team, but we are a very good team as well.
That was Arne Slot, the head coach of Liverpool, speaking there. And here are some other fixtures in the Champions League. Olympiacos will be facing PSV, PSG will be facing Bayern Munich, and Tottenham will be facing FC Copenhagen in the Champions League for Tuesday. Now, here are the top-ranked teams so far in the Champions League. PSG, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan, Arsenal, and Real Madrid all have 9 points so far from 3 match days. And at the bottom, which is the last 3, Kairat Almaty, we have Benfica, and we have Ajax. Benfica and Ajax have 0 points. Kairat have just 1 point so far in the UEFA Champions League. We'll give you further updates on the Champions League and a lot more here on 3FM 92.7. That's the end of the sports segment, and also the end of the entirety of this particular show here on 3FM 92.7. Same time tomorrow at 5 p.m. we'll be back with the latest on Hot Edition. Until then, have a great evening.